Hey friends, how's it going? My name is Ren, and this is my digital garden. It's kind of like a vlog, except I can talk about basically anything I want without being too performative. And essentially, I'm going to be using this digital garden to talk about the projects I'm working on or want to work on. Now, doing so actually creates this essence of commitment, where it's like, okay, I say I want to build this, and then I actually have to go and kind of commit to it. But not really. The whole point of a digital garden is to be pretty fast and loose with what I'm talking about and what I'm doing. Just get these thoughts and feelings out there. Now, it is the summertime, so I've got quite a lot of time to experiment, work on my personal projects, and, most importantly, relax. It's very important to relax. Yes. Lately, I've been really focusing on indie games and indie game development, really following the community behind it. And, as a board member of Finnish Game Jam, you kind of get to see a lot of cool, fun, wacky games that could potentially be very interesting indie games. And I live in Finland, so Finland has a lot of these, quite. They have a certain particular feel to the games. You've probably seen Ultra Kill and Fear and Hunger, and Noita. These games have a very particular style to them. You can kind of, oh yeah, My Summer Car and My Summer Cottage. You can kind of look at these games and think, oh yeah, that's a Finnish indie game. But I've fallen in love with the Finnish indie game scene, and I want to help promote it and grow it as much as I can. And I have about a month, roughly, to actually try to make something of an impact here in the indie game scene. Now, I will say that the game industry isn't doing too particularly well right now, but I truly believe, and this is something I've been saying for the past 2 years now, indie games are what's going to save the industry. Now that there's so many, hate to say it, so many layoffs and a lot of people starting their own companies and trying to do their best. We are seeing this this boom. These things come in waves. We're gonna see another indie game boom quite soon, I imagine. And there are various organizations helping out with this. There's IGDA Finland for community growth, Finnish Game Jam for game jams, and there's other things like Espoo Game Lab, which has been growing indie games, small game teams, and influencing that collaboration between game developers. And you love to see it. And I've just been really thinking, how can I help promote indie games in this space? I talk a lot. That's great. That can always work out well. I'd be happy to talk and even play some of the games that I come across on a live stream. But that didn't seem like it'd be enough, so I figured, you know what? I also have access to the developers. I have a pretty decent network, I would say. After 4 years in the industry, I've grown my network considerably, and I want to grow my network, more in the indie game side now. But what I have going on is that I can essentially not only play the indie games that are being made here in Finland, but I can reach out to the developers and be like, hey, why don't we do a little interview? Let's talk about the game. Let's talk about how the game development cycle went, how the challenges went, and what did you learn, and what are you going to be doing moving forward? Just some of the questions off the top of my head that I would ask, and I think this can make indie game development, very relatable to people who are just starting out or people who are, struggling through their game development cycle right now. And a lot of the projects I've been working on have been meant to, help promote relatability. There's, a lot of survivor's bias. There's a lot of, success stories, and these are great. Of course, they always come from the same places, and, while they're, I guess, inspirational in a way, sometimes you want to hear about what were the challenges, what were the struggles people faced while going through this cycle. Everybody sees, the end result. Everybody wants to be the next Supercell, the next Rovio, the next Remedy. But you ignore the fact that it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of dedication to get from point A to point B. So let's learn about what happens between point A and point B. And that's I actually have a podcast, another podcast about this called After I Failed, which I'm running with my co-host Payu, and we do interview various people within the game industry and entrepreneurs who are making their way through everything that they're doing, and you know feel comfortable enough to talk about the challenges and share their experiences with the rest of us. And I think that is a lovely sentiment, and there's a lot to learn and to gain from understanding and hearing about these experiences. I think that's something I will make some effort towards doing, is actually playing some of these games, live streaming them, recording videos, and conducting interviews with the game developers. I mean, oddly, new indie game just released, demos out on Steam. Definitely a game I want to play. A buddy of mine is getting me to play a tower defense game, I believe. And there's just so many games being produced by Finland. In fact, I think during the last global game jam, I'm quite certain Finland had produced more games than the rest of the world. If I remember correctly, I could be wrong, but I remember hearing these statistics, and that number seems about right. I mean, like, here in Finland, it's not a big country, but we don't have just one singular jam site. Like, there isn't a Finnish game jam site during Global Game Jam. There's several of them. I think I managed the Finnish Game Jam live stream. I hosted it on Saturday and Sunday, but on the Saturday, I was on the live stream for 7 hours straight, and we interviewed 12 jam sites, all the way from Helsinki to Rovaniemi. Just so that's north and south. So yeah, it's there's Helsinki, Turku, Tampere, Rovaniemi, Oulu. Oh my lord. Porvoo, of course, Kymenlaakso, and I can't remember all of the places, but Kuopio, of course, Kajaani, yes, there were many. There are so many, and it's all lovely to interview these jam sites, because you see people working hard and having fun, and they're so involved in the games that they're creating. And every jam site has their own style of doing things. It's also very wonderful. Like, sometimes people are in separate rooms. Yeah, Uveskila as well. Yeah, people are in separate rooms, and or sometimes everybody's in one big room, and there's some jam sites that are in libraries. There's some jam sites that are in offices. There's some jam sites that are in cottages in the middle of nowhere, and it's just absolutely fantastic. And you can tell that the Finnish game industry is near and dear to my heart, because you get to see these kind of very wholesome, very wonderful experiences. And any little bit I can help to make this grow is a win in my book. Going back to the idea of the lesser heard stories, the not success stories, but the things that we don't often talk about. I want to organize a speaking event, and I am one of the organizers for Leadership Day, so I have some experience in organizing these, which is great. But I do want to organize a speaking event, and this is something I've been spinning in my head for a while now. And most likely, maybe end of August, we'll see, or end of September. Well, end of September that's when Finnish Games Week starts, so probably not the best time, or in early winter, late winter, around that time. I've been thinking about doing a speaking event, or an ongoing speaking event, or some sort of catalog for experimental talks. Talks from people you don't hear talks often from, or talks that are quite out there, quite dynamic, quite entertaining, maybe even quite Now, chaotic isn't really the right word. I'm thinking more so on the lines of, again, experimental. Things that are different, things that are strange, things that people may have learned. Um, that you wouldn't otherwise hear about. Really, this just comes from a friend actually. I 3 years ago, I was organizing the Finnish Game Jam live stream, and I had, I believe, three speakers kicking off the live stream. Different talks, of course. And I'd never met these people before. I know them quite well now. They're all lovely people. Two of them I do consider to be very good friends. And one of them actually came to me a couple of months ago, and he told me that he wanted to thank me for back 3 years ago, because that opportunity gave him. It was a talk he wanted to give at a bigger event, but he wasn't able to, so he gave it on my live stream, and it was a talk that he was able to take afterwards, workshop it further, and continuously workshop it throughout the 3 years until he was able to actually go to this larger event and give that talk. And he told me that he would have never been able to do this if I had not given him that time slot, that opportunity to give that talk at my at the Finnish Game Jam live stream. And that really stuck with me. It really made me realize that there's a lot of people in this game industry that want to share their knowledge, that want a place that they can present something that they've learned, something that they hold near and dear to their heart. And maybe I can help create this this platform, this space for them to talk about the things that they care about. I'm not entirely sure what this this stage may be. Could be we actually get one of the offices here in Helsinki and gather a bunch of people and then do these experimental talks. Or I'm thinking we go quite low threshold, keep it digital, so that people from other cities, other countries can enjoy the talks, and have people record their talks, of course with guidance, with marketing and promotion, record their talks in the comfort of their own home, and then we slap it on a YouTube channel, and of course then we market and promote it so that they have people commenting, talking, and commenting and sharing and giving feedback on the talks. And I think that would also be very low threshold and very lovely. And I want to be low threshold because we still have lives outside of the game industry. We still have social lives and work and other hobbies, but we're very passionate about what we do, passionate about game development, and we want to share this passion with other people. Now, going back to indie games and indie game communities, I am hosting on this Friday, potentially this video goes out today. I'm hosting a indie game picnic in the park nearby. I struggle to say the name of the park, but it's in Punovore. And yeah, I actually did not market it very well. This was intentional, by the way. I scheduled it in July, knowing full well that most people will be on vacation, they'll be on their cottages, they'll be traveling. And I also only posted it on my LinkedIn. And yeah, I didn't market it to any of the Helsinki channels or local venues or offices or companies or anything like that. I just kept it quite small, and I expected maybe about 10 signups. That's pretty much it. I expected that to be the number, which is good because if it rains or the park is way too crowded, then things might not go well. But the weather looks great so far, and I don't think that park gets too crowded. But I ended up with about 40 signups, which is a strong number for just a small off-the-cuff picnic. There's no talks, there's no food provided. It's just show up, get a blanket, bring your own food and drinks, and chill and vibe with people. I was actually quite surprised that there's a fair number of signups from people who I've never met before. And this is actually quite lovely because it's always good to meet new people who, you know, I can learn more about. I can see what they're working on, and gain some insight on the Finnish game industry through that. A lot of the knowledge I have when it comes to the Finnish game industry has been through talking to the community, and the community is quite eager here to share knowledge and information. It's wonderful and fantastic. But yes, we have the Indie Game Picnic coming up this Friday. I think I will do my best to make it a yearly thing, and it'll just be a very chill afternoon and evening. Ended up creating the Finnish game events, or Finland game events calendar along with this, and I wanted a space where all of the game developer experience events could be put into one calendar. Public game jams, talks, speaking events, any sort of events related to game development can be in one calendar, because oftentimes I hear through the grapevines, through certain people, that there are events that are happening, there are events that they're invited to, and then I don't hear anything about it. I feel a bit left out, and it sucks. It's a terrible feeling. And I remember other people also feeling the same way. It's like, oh, where can we find out about event X, Y, and Z, about this breakfast, or that dinner, or this speaking event? And there isn't really a centralized place for that. There kind of is, but yet it somehow doesn't have, all of the events. It doesn't have everything you would expect it to have, which is unfortunate. So I made my own, and Luma has actually been a great platform for that. Highly recommend it. But yeah, I'm really happy I made that calendar. It did not take a lot of effort. It really didn't. And I had been asking myself, why has this not been a thing already? This would have been so useful for someone like me, who comes into the game industry, wants to be part of a community, wants to be included, but has no idea where to go, has no idea that this event or that event is happening. So please subscribe to the Finland Game Events calendar. Let's grow it. Tell me about your events. Add your events on there, and tell your friends who are also eager to be part of the Finnish game development community as well. I think it'll be very useful to have that. But yeah, really happy I set that calendar up. So yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up this video. I am really happy I took the time today to sit down, talk about my thoughts, feelings, and projects I'm working on. Please like the video and subscribe to the Unsupervised Media channel. I'll definitely be putting out more videos like this in the coming days, and also check out the After I Failed podcast, which is also on this channel too. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching. See ya.